Welcome to Detroit Unspun TV. My name is Dave Lingholm. I will be your host for the next rousing half hour of information and stories unique to the region that is Detroit. We have interviews this week with Craig Fahle from WDET, a story about those cardboard forts that we had as a kid. They're making a comeback. And in case you drive up Woodward and see some changes in some of the storefronts, that's from the crew at Woodward Windows. That and, of course, our Dig Downtown 5. So sit down, put away that mouse, and enjoy the next half hour of Detroit Unspun TV. In headlines this week, General Motors Chief Dan Akerson announced that he is donating $1 million to help Habitat for Humanity's project in Detroit's Morningside neighborhood. The Atlantic magazine pointed out that while Detroit was among the cities hardest hit during our last recession, there are still a lot of lessons that America can learn from this great city. Curb Detroit shares with us that the London Chop House is making a comeback after a little bit more than a 20-year hiatus. And they're coming back with a decor that's a great throwback to the original location. Now, before Andrew Zimmern and his Bizarre Foods TV show aired on the Travel Channel Monday night, our own Karen Dybus had a chance to ask him several questions and got answers on things like exactly why he's betting on Detroit. Now, to keep up with these headlines and others like it about Detroit's transformation, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Detroit Unspun. Our first story this week focuses on WDET and their drive to get 10,000 volunteer hours donated in the next 30 days. We asked Craig Fahle of WDET exactly why the radio station is taking this project on now and what it means for metropolitan Detroit. A recent blog post by Kurt Metzger from Data Driven Detroit highlighted the fact that as a region, Detroit falls in the middle of the pack when it comes to the number of volunteer hours served. Well, the staff here at WDET 101.9 wants to do something about that, and we've come here to get a little information from Craig Fahle about their latest call to action. Why this particular campaign and why now?
For me, I've been talking about the need to get people together to, bridge this sort of divide that exists between city and suburb here. And one of the ways to do that is to get people more involved in the community. Volunteering is a great way for people to get involved in something and make a difference. It's some sort of a tangible difference. And if you get people involved, they're more likely to have a stake in the outcome of things around here. 10,000 hours is a lot. That's a lot of people doing a lot of different things. And it's just a matter of bringing people together to do it and not caring anymore about what people say about why you're doing things, but actually getting up and making a difference in some capacity, whatever small way you can. That way, you can honestly say that you care about it, that you want it to be better. And it seems that there's just a bit of a disconnect between the people who are doing the work on the ground and need the volunteers and the people that want to help. And it seems often that it's just a matter of getting them together in some capacity.
It sounds like you've got a pretty interesting database that you've worked with the folks over at Loveland to create that's helping facilitate that conversation in a pretty new and interesting way, too.
Well, and when I first saw this thing, I knew that Jerry Paffendorf was working on this, but I didn't know what it was going to be. I was like, okay, great, a database. But then when I saw how easy it was to use and how intuitive it was, it amazed me that it hadn't been done really before. I mean, there have been some attempts at doing things like this, and there haven't been bad attempts, but it just wasn't as easy as this one. And I was scrolling through it yesterday because I'm going to demonstrate this at the meeting and pick out the volunteer opportunity that I want to take. And I was like, all right, well, is this going to be hard to do this demonstration? Well, he's like, well, here, try it on my mobile phone. And I just scrolled through it, and I was like, wow, okay. That was easy. I had it done in literally about 30 seconds. Making it easy is half the battle.
So what project did you pick for yourself?
I am going to hopefully be trained in how to teach adults how to read, how to, adult literacy. And the reason that I picked this is that I had a guest on my show probably about 6 months ago. We were doing a number of interviews about adult literacy. And there are a few organizations around town that provide these kinds of services. But I had a guy on my show. He worked at Chrysler for 30 years as a janitor, got laid off, and wanted to get another job and realized he couldn't fill out a job application. He didn't have the skills necessary. He never needed it before. Right. Let me scrap that. He did need it, but he didn't realize he needed it before. So he never had to learn how to do this. That economy doesn't exist anymore, where that guy's going to find a job. And I was somewhat heartbroken, incredibly proud of the fact that he was trying to do this at almost age 60, finally learn how to do something. And it was impressive that he was doing that, but at the same time, part of me just said, if he doesn't do this, he won't find another job. There's no choice. And, there just aren't enough people out there who are doing this. And I connected with this guy. We don't have a whole lot in common, but I was moved by that, and I kind of want to do something about it. I've always been good at reading things, so and maybe I can teach somebody that same skill set, because I can't imagine not having it. I think we take it for granted, the ability to do something that for us is just secondhand, and just something you were raised to do, and not being able to do it as an adult. I can't imagine what I would missed out on. And I don't know. I just want to make sure that people don't miss out on it anymore. Let me just tell people what they can do and what people who are watching this can do. Maybe you've got a group of people that wants to get together and do something. There are going to be opportunities for people to do that. We've got a little number on there. There's going to be a little counter that shows how many hours that we have secured for people, volunteer hours in the city of Detroit. So it's not just a one-off thing. This is going to be continuing, and there will be opportunities. Try something. If it works out, great. Maybe there's something else you decide you want to try later. So it's not just one bite at the apple. Keep coming back and bring friends. Get people together. And maybe it is a company outing where you get 10, 15, 20 employees. Maybe you all work at the DMC or at General Motors, or everybody works at Quicken or someplace like that. I'm just making up companies at this point, but, get a group together. A group could do something really cool, and that could actually help ratchet up those hours, too, in a big way. Okay, people have been complaining about the city for a long time. Well, here's an opportunity to actually do something to make it a little bit better in some capacity. And it may not be something huge that any one individual does, but collectively, if you motivate enough people to do something, you can actually make a pretty significant impact.
What the staff at WDET hopes is when people leave the Community Arts Center here on Wayne State's campus, there's a group of people who are dedicated to making those 10,000 volunteer hours happen in the next 30 days. Remember those cardboard forts that we used to build as a kid with any box that we could find anywhere? Well, there's a company in Royal Oak that's helping kids everywhere build those forts out of cardboard. Natalia's got the story.
It's pretty much a rite of passage to want to build forts when you're a young kid, play with the neighborhood kids and your siblings. Well, we have met some local Michiganders who have started a company called Neighborhood Fort, and they've developed these things called fort cubes, which help kids facilitate in this fort-making process. So we're going to talk to Lindsay and John, the co-founders of Neighborhood Fort, to learn more about it. So Lindsay, tell me a little bit about these fort cubes. How'd this idea get started?
Well, the idea of the fort cube originally developed from being inspired by my 2.5-year-old son and just watching him play in cardboard boxes. All kids love cardboard boxes, of course, and just watching his imagination run wild with them and seeing how we could better the idea of playing in these forts and make it easier for parents as well. So we developed the Fort Cube. We collaborated and came up with this concept of a connectable design that's super easy to fold down and set up and really let kids' imaginations run wild with what they can do with them.
That's great. John, I see that these are blank white canvases. Is that part of the design? Is that purposeful?
Yes, we wanted to keep them blank to really promote the idea of open-ended creative play. So if you put something on the outside that suggests what it's going to be, then the kids are limited to what they can create with it. So we wanted to keep it blank to really let their imaginations run wild, like Lindsay mentioned.
That's great. And I also understand that they're environmentally friendly. So tell me a little bit about that.
We actually, when we were thinking of the concept, we wanted to stay with something that was earth-friendly. Our company is founded on staying with products that are earth-friendly products, and so we went, decided to do the cardboard, and we went with a partially recycled material, and then obviously it's 100% recyclable as well. So we really encourage kids and families to stay with that theme and keep up with being good to our earth. So.
One of the features that I read about on your website is that they're collapsible and travel well. So do you find that to be a good selling point?
Definitely. No one wants some huge mammoth fort in their basement, taking up all the space, and then when they have company over, having to take it out into the garage. This one is all made in one piece with an insertable floor, but it can be collapsed down within under a minute's time. It's slid under the bed or under the couch, whatever's easiest.
And if a bunch of neighborhood kids got together, you could probably get 30 of these connected in a row or something like that, right?
Definitely. There's no limit to the amount of fort cubes that can be connected, so we hope that people will take this and show us something new with it, create mazes and tunnels and little neighborhoods of their own.
I love it. One of the things I love most is it is manufactured right here, right? Tell me a little bit about that.
We actually, again, wanted to stay with a locally produced product and continue that, and we decided to keep it here in Michigan with our manufacturing, and we have all of our fort cubes are manufactured in Plymouth. So.
Wonderful. The biggest thing we need to know is, how do we get our hands on these? Where do we buy them?
You can purchase them online at neighborhoodfort.com. We have a shop set up there, and we're also in 2 local retailers right now. One is Funky Monkey in Oxford, Michigan, and one is Great Turtle Toys of Clarkston.
What's the price point on these?
They're $29.99 each, and then we offer a discounted rate if you buy 3 or more.
And the last thing I'm really observing, what are these little flags about?
Well, each fort comes with one flag, and we have 3 inserts in the fort cubes to be able to personalize and fly their flags, their fort flags. So kids really enjoy having that element to, again, make it their own, and we leave some blank. We have some other designs on them as well, but again, another cool feature that kids really enjoy. So.
Well, I remember loving to play in forts, and I wish I had something like this when I was younger. They say the age range is starting at around 3.
It's about 3 to 8. We see a lot of children younger than that enjoy crawling through them and playing with them. So there's a wide range for who can use it.
Well, we love seeing Michigan-based companies doing innovative things. Thank you guys so much. This is Neighborhood Fort is the name of the company. These are called Fort Cubes. We really encourage you to think about purchasing these for some kids that you know to help facilitate their fun and their creative outlet as well. This is Natalia Petrozek reporting. Back to you, Dave.
It's that time of our program where we give you some ideas on what to do in downtown Detroit. Here is this week's Dig Downtown 5. We're often asked, how do we find the events that we share with you each week, and why do we pick just 5 events anyway? Well, first things first. We choose to pick 5 events because, well, 5 sounded like a pretty good number. It gives you enough events to have some variety to choose from, but not so many events that you stop watching this video. And frankly, because we live, work, and play in downtown Detroit, we're really just sharing the invitations to the events that we receive ourselves. So our picks for this week include, number 1, sonnets, shopping, and champagne. Now, fans of vintage clothing will love this event because that's exactly what the Peacock Room specializes in. And men, don't worry. If you need some unique accessories like a cool pair of cufflinks, make sure this event is circled on your calendar. And during the time of the event, a percentage of all sales will be going to help the Inside Out Literary Arts Project. Number 2, Scratch the Page, featuring author Gregory Pardlow. Now, this event is a taste of what the hardworking folks at Inside Out Literary Arts Project do for children in our city. Pardlow is the winner of the American Poetry Review's Honickman First Book Prize, and the young poets will have the chance to hone their skills on his instruction, and you'll have the chance to hear the fruit of their labors this Saturday. Number 3, Yin Yoga for the Tickled Fancy Road Tour. The Detroit Flyhouse Circus School teaches people traditional circus arts, including aerial skills, trapeze, aerial ring, partner acrobatics, and fire skills from the comfort of the firehouse lofts in the Eastern Market District. Proceeds from this public yin yoga class will go to help their friends from the Tickled Fancy Burlesque Company afford their first public tour. Number 4, Farmers Talk, winter gardening, and rotational grazing with Sunnyside Farms. Now, if we were to play a small word association game with you, you're probably not going to put together MOCAD with urban gardening, which is exactly why we suggest you fertilize your knowledge with this event on Saturday. And number 5, Charles Feelgood, Arthur Oscan, Terrence Parker at the TV Lounge. Now, the lineup for this celebration looks pretty impressive. And in addition to these headliners of electronic music, they have 11 different DJs playing in 3 different rooms all night at the TV Lounge. From outside the Hudson Cafe in downtown Detroit, that's this week's Dig Downtown 5. Driving up Woodward in downtown Detroit, you might see some new designs in some of the windows. Mike Hahn and a group of artists that include international artists now are making those windows into art. Ashley Hennon had the chance to ask Mike how things are changing with the Woodward Windows.
We're in front of the Woodward Windows art installation on the 1500 block. We're going to go inside and talk to Mike Hahn about why he initiated the project.
So the Woodward Windows project started out by coming downtown, loving the architecture that's in the city, and noticing that there was a lot of vacancy, especially between the entertainment district and the downtown core. And so we had this idea that it would be fantastic if we could activate these vacant spaces with artwork and create some excitement on the street level. It started out as a conversation with the Farbman Group, and quickly, as soon as I got access to space, I reached out to 323's gallery, and they had been friends for a little while, and it felt that there's a lot of synergy between the types of artists that they work with and the ones that I want to work with. So we've been working together now for almost a year on the Windows project. So, I mean, we haven't departed too much from the old, I guess, from the original work. The first installation that was done were from 4 of the most renowned, like, Detroit graffiti writers, and their stories kind of been untold. So we had Fahle 3000, who's one of the godfathers of graffiti in Detroit. We had Syntax, we had Kobe Solomon, and we had Malt, also Brown Bag Detroit. And so those guys, Jesse had been working with them a lot, Jesse, from 323 East, and, they were all friends of mine, and so it was a really great way for us to have a lot of fun together. And so it's evolved a little bit since then, where we don't want to be Detroit-centric necessarily. Like, we think it's really important to identify the talent that's here, but at the same time, we're also feeling that it's important to become globally relevant. And so this next set is really where that transition has taken place, where we have a lot of artists. We have San Francisco artists, we have New York artists, we have an artist from Windsor, and so it's kind of, and then also alongside some of our really iconic Detroit artists like Chris Turner and Dave Krieger, Greg Holm, and the contemporary. So it's a really great mix of the best local meets the best international, and that in this 2-block sort of gallery that we have something that hopefully excites other people, and that we can continue to work with the best in the world. And so it's just been really fun to have that diversity of work from installation-based artists like a Greg Holm, really, amazing work there, to someone who does installation work with cardboard boxes, where his installation right now is like out of hand-blown glass. So you have very, different ends of the spectrum. And that's, I think, what's also so exciting about it, is that if we're able to sort of bring them together in a way that maybe doesn't make sense to, just, on the surface, but if you dig a little deeper, that there are connection points sort of along the way. We need to have more galleries. And the gallery owners say, well, we don't want to open a gallery because you need people, you need buyers. And without the buyers, then you can't open a gallery. And so it's constantly that battle. And so for us, what we're hoping is if we can create something that achieves the thing that the gallery potentially could do in a way that, to create a different sort of business model where we don't need the influx of traffic to consume our goods, that through media, through different types of creative services, like treating talented artists as collaborators and partners, and working with them to create opportunities for them so that they can create the type of work that they've wanted to create, but on a scale maybe and in a way that they've never dreamed possible before, because now they have funding. And to do it in that real, authentic way where it's not like, well, we want you to make something that looks like our logo. It's we recognize that you're the type of person who inspires our demographic, and that's why we're going to you. Is if you create that, then the rest comes.
From downtown Detroit, this is Ashley Hennon. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks for that report, Ashley. Our next story is a continuation of what we did last week. Last week you learned how to make fish and chips the way Saltwater does it in the MGM Grand Casino. This week we talk with the front of the house manager about what it means to his staff to be a 4-diamond restaurant. So we are here at Saltwater with the front of the house manager, if you will, Marc, Peyer. Tell me, Marc, what does having the 4-Diamond Award mean to Saltwater in particular?
I mean, we're honored to receive the 4-Diamond Award in the 4th consecutive year. It's great to be in such good company here in Detroit with the other 5 restaurants who received the 4-Diamond Award, and it's the entire team, back of the house as front of the house, is very, very proud of receiving that 4-Diamond Award again this year.
I'd imagine that that's not something they just come and hand you either. There's probably quite a bit of work involved in earning that particular award. Can you tell us just a few things that are involved?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it is a day-to-day working progress, I want to say, because obviously you have to make sure that you keep your standards of service every single day. You have to make sure that the quality of food that comes out of the kitchen is the same every single day. So it is a lot to maintain, and it's also receiving the 4-Diamond Award is also a great motivational tool for our staff members, because then they know that all the hard work they're putting into making this restaurant successful is getting honored with such a great award.
Now, you've been here for 6 months. You were in Vegas previously. What is it about Detroit that you've appreciated most so far? I know I'm kind of coming out of left field on you.
No, I mean it's great. I was born and raised in Austria, so I grew up in a very familiar surrounding. And coming out here, a lot of people are very, very accommodating, almost like family out here. They even at the beginning, they invited me over. They started showing me around to get that I can get an idea of the area, because I've never been to Detroit or Michigan respectively before. So it's great to be out here.
And what have you found the diners that come in here, the patrons that come to Saltwater, what do they expect in terms of quality of food or level of service? Is it what you thought you were walking into? Is it that level you had expected?
We do have a lot of repeat customers who come specifically to Saltwater because of food and service. Coming from Las Vegas, you have a lot of international business, so usually you don't see the people twice, the same people twice. So coming out here, you have people who come into the restaurant every week, even 2 or 3 times a week, just because of the quality of food, of the level of service that we provide, because they're happy and they know they will receive the same service and the same food every single time they come in.
Now, looking at the menu, there's a lot of really good-looking stuff here. I mean, we just tried some of the fish and chips. What's your favorite thing on the menu?
My favorite thing on the menu for the appetizer is probably the Micromina ahi tuna tartare with fresh tuna every single day. For main course, I have to say it's kind of hard to decide sometimes. Obviously, we have the pot pie, the Micromina pot pie, but I also do really like our selection of fish, as well as the diverse scallops that we have on the menu.
And for somebody who's coming here for the first time, what do they need to know about Saltwater to make sure they've had a good experience?
Well, we offer 3 types of menus right now. We do have our regular dinner menu. We have our happy hour menu that we offer 4 days a week now. We also have a prefix menu for people who just want to come in and dine really quick before they go and see a show or go to a sporting event. But it's just that we offer a very great value for the price, and we offer contemporary seafood with also refined American cuisine, so they get a little bit of everything.
Great. Well, thanks for your time, Marc.
Sure, absolutely. My pleasure.
Now, for this week's Detroit People segment, Ashley had the opportunity to interview Ivory Williams, and this guy's a great storyteller. I had the unique opportunity to hear him on Saturday night, and I believe that you're really going to enjoy this segment.
What makes a good story is the connection that it makes with the audience. It's not reading, it's not lecturing or workshop, but it is an intangible, it's an emotional connection that, yeah, this is something I want to listen to because it affects me. And it's done in a storytelling form because since kids, we've loved stories. You know, as kids, we want people to tell me a story. And so we don't lose that. We get away from it for a while in our daily routine of growing up and being an adult. But as an adult storyteller, we never lose gaining that connection. And for those in the audience, never lose wanting that connection. My essential stories, they're humorous. So I like to tell humorous stories with a serious message. So people like to laugh. They want to be entertained. And I'm not a comedian, but I talk about things that are funny. So a comedian will tell something that's funny just to get laughs. But I want people to enjoy themselves. It's sort of having fun learning. As you mature as a speaker, you don't have a favorite audience. Okay, it used to be I really liked the kids. And I do like the kids. But then my goal as a storyteller is the growth and development of young people. And the most effective way of making that happen is if the older folks know what they're doing. So I gear my stories, even though the adults bring their children to see me tell stories, I'm really talking to the adults. For the most part, people have their own idea of what a storyteller is, which is the same idea I had, the little old lady with the kids around her feet. So when they hear storyteller, they say, okay, while we're having our professional organization, can you handle the kids? And see, I want to deal with the professional organization. So there's still some education to be done in the world of storytelling. The only advice is remove your assumptions. Stories are everywhere. If you just open your eyes and slow down. We move too fast and we miss things. And if you don't want to miss things, you have to slow down. And when you slow down, you see the story in practically every aspect of life. You can walk out of this building and just observe there's a story there. And everyone's a storyteller. I do it professionally, but people don't see themselves as storytellers. When someone asks you, or what did you do yesterday? You're going to tell them a story, something that happened. Okay, here's how about one that rhymes? 'Twas an evening in November, as I well remember. I was strolling down the street in a drunken pride, but my knees were aflutter, so I landed in a gutter, and a pig came up and lay down by my side. As I lay in that gutter, thinking thoughts I should not utter, a passerby did softly say, you could tell a man that boozes by the company he chooses. And at that, the pig got up and walked away.
We hope that you've enjoyed the last half hour of Detroit Unspun TV. As always, there are a lot of people to thank for making this show happen. Craig Fahle, Ivory Williams, Natalia for her story, Ashley for her hard work this week, Jeremiah behind the camera, and to the folks at the Special Olympics for helping encourage me to do the polar plunge last Saturday. That event was an event I will never forget. Buena suerte, Detroit.